And that story is repeated over and over again, and we have it right here. David, who wasn't even good enough to show up to walk in front of Samuel, is the one who is ultimately anointed by God to be the next king. Now let's take a little pause.
So he asked Jesse,
"Are these all the sons you have?"
"That is still the youngest,
Jesse answered.
but he is tending the sheep."
Samuel said,
"Send for him. We will not sit down until he arrives."
So he sent and had him brought in. He was ruddy, with a fine appearance and handsome features. Then the Lord said,
"Rise and anoint him. He is the one."
So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers, and from that day on the Spirit of the Lord came upon David in power. Samuel then went to Ramah.
There's a shift here in the story where the Spirit of the Lord comes upon people in a somewhat different way. David is different. Something is happening here that is unlike what has come before. The Spirit of the Lord on David is unique. And that Spirit is going to be shown through David's life in some pretty special ways. So let's fast forward.
Now the Spirit of the Lord had departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him. Saul's attendants said to him,
"See, an evil spirit from God is tormenting you. Let our Lord command his servants here to search for someone who can play the harp. He will play when the evil spirit from God comes upon you, and you will feel better."
So Saul said to his attendants,
"Find someone who plays well and bring him to me."
One of the servants answered,
"I have seen a son of Jesse of Bethlehem who knows how to play the harp. He is a brave man and a warrior. He speaks well and is a fine-looking man, and the Lord is with him."
Then Saul sent messengers to Jesse and said,
"Send me your son David, who is with the sheep."
So Jesse took a donkey loaded with bread, a skin of wine, and a young goat, and sent them with his son David to Saul. David came to Saul and entered his service. Saul liked him very much, and David became one of his armor-bearers. Then Saul sent word to Jesse, saying,
"Allow David to remain in my service, for I am pleased with him."
The Spirit of God has come upon David, and so the Spirit of the Lord leaves Saul. Not only has David been anointed as the next king, but the others don't know that yet. And so Saul begins to interweave his storyline with David. David comes into Saul's court as a young man in order to help calm Saul down. But David is skillful. And so David actually becomes Saul's armor bearer. That means David is really in the court. David is there to know the current king, even though he's supposed to be the next king. And so his connection to the current reign is going to prove problematic because Saul doesn't die for a while. So, we're going to move on. Saul, when the Spirit of the Lord comes upon someone, that's a moment when they get filled with incredible potential and power.